In this video, we're going to run through Max Verstappen's secret cornering techniques. That's right, we're going to go into the different types of corners. We're going to see what Max is trying to achieve in these types of corners. And I'm going to explain to you how this is so helpful and applicable throughout various stages of the calendar. For example, if you find a chicane and Max is great in chicanes, well, that's in Monza, first chicane, second chicane, Imola, Tamburello chicane, Monza, Ascari chicane, Monaco's got chicanes, Japan has chicanes, Canada, final chicane, and that applies for 7 different types of corners as well. So it's a super big skill and big advantage to have. We're going to run through some telemetry as well in this video. So definitely strap yourselves in. If you're interested in what my thoughts are, definitely keep watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Martin. I'm a specialist technical coach and mentor for open formula drivers. I specialize in the technical, tactical, and mental side for open formula. That's everything other than the physical side. In this video, we're going to run through the 7 technical corners and what Max is doing inside each of them and how he's finding an advantage. Let's head over. I'll share screen now. We'll jump over to the first example, and this is going to be the hairpin. So hairpin is one of the 7 technical corners. Do not confuse hairpin with the long corner of constant radius. That's a separate corner, totally separate skill set required, totally separate car fundamental principle required as well. In a hairpin, you're looking for great braking capacity and braking potential. You're flying in here at 300 kilometers per hour. The corner comes to a point and it's all about stopping the car effectively and then your slow speed traction on the way out when downforce and aerodynamics are not really that active. In a long corner of constant radius, we're going to get onto it in a bit, but it's all about front grip. Totally different requirement from the car, like I say. So this is a hairpin. This is the Chinese hairpin. I'm not sure the corner number down here. It could be 12, 13, 14 down the back end of the circuit. And there's just one more corner to go before the end of the straight. This then is the truest definition of a hairpin. Now, what does Max do so well in these types of corners? Well, he's able to push the brakes super hard, almost Hamilton-esque. Now, contrary to what you might have heard that Max is an early braker, this type of corner completely debunks that myth. Max knows when to use downforce, when it is active, when there's a lot of braking capacity, when the steering is straight, and Max goes bang with the brake pedal. And he does that very effectively, like I say, almost Hamilton-esque, and he's able to change that style and brake earlier in other corners when he knows that he wants to get a good exit or he's looking for a later apex or he wants the car more settled or he's aiming to achieve something totally differently. But in the hairpins, as I'm going to show you now when we go through the telemetry, Max is nailing the brake pedal. Let's take a look at that now. Alrighty, hopefully you can see that on the screen in front of you. So we got Norris Verstappen comparison here in 2024 Chinese Grand Prix qualifying. And I've gone down to the hairpin, which you can see here. And crucially, on the entry here, it's all Max in blue. So that's exactly what I was saying, where Max is just, he's willing to brake super late because he knows that it's a condition where he can brake super late. And that condition being steering wheel straight, high downforce, soft tires, a lot of grip, and so on. So this is where, if you look at the speed trace, Max carries all that speed in on the entry and the delta goes in Max's favor as a result of braking later. Remember, Max is the blue line and Lando, our comparison driver here, is the orange line. So you can see Lando getting on the brakes a little bit earlier and generally softer, but we can't see that here. And Max getting on the brakes later and generally harder. You can see by the throttle trace that Max has just driven clean past Lando's braking point. Have a look here at the RPM. It's a lot higher as well. The downshifts happen a lot later as well. And the rotation happens a lot later. The minimum speed is later in the corner as well. So this Max has just gone past Lando's braking point, found from 348 to 445. What's that? Nearly a tenth of a second across there, just under braking. And this is in 2024, guys, where Max took pole position by about half a second there, about 5/10 of a second. So I just wanted to highlight to you guys and straight away show you that this is an area in which Max is very strong. Now, other hairpins on the calendar, Suzuka has a hairpin in the middle of the track, though it's not that high speed like this one. Imola Tosa corner has a hairpin as well. Canada hairpin is probably the best other example that I can think of. So if you do keep an eye out for those sort of hairpins throughout the calendar, have a look for Max and his late braking strength into those corners. Now, the second type of corner where Max is a weapon is chicanes. If you guys remember Monaco, I'll just share screen here. Monaco, I think it was 2024 when he took that pole position and he went super close to this wall here, the entry into the chicane. Chicanes are all about the entry, guys. and ability to ride the curbs in different ways as well. You can see Max here just doing this one beautifully by just glancing the front left up against this red curb, but not quite on the yellow curb, which is going to really upset the balance of the car. So the way Max gets into chicanes is second to none. And like I said, it was highlighted here in this Monaco example. Now, like I said at the start of this video, this is applicable whenever you see a chicane. It could be the Suzuka final chicane, which we're going to have a look at now. This was from 2024. You remember Checo and Max were very, very, very close all weekend in 2024 Japan. So let's take a look at that now and have a look at where Max is finding the time in the chicane. So like I say, 2024 Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to scroll down. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Max did a 28.1. Checo did a 28.2. They got 1-2 on the grid. This highlights the track dominance, and you can just see this blue here into the chicane. That's where my little dot is. If I can move the dot around, you see, and I'm highlighting this blue area through the final chicane where Max has his strength. Let's take a look again, the late braking, guys. So that's another, this is the second technical corner where Max is out braking someone that we're comparing to. Again, more speed on the way into the corner. You see the delta go from 0.08 almost equal to 0.7775. So Max has found 3/4 of a tenth there under braking. This is exactly similar to what we saw with the high speed braking into the Chinese hairpin, guys. Max knows that when the downforce is active, when the steering wheel is straight, he gives it a nice late smack of the brake pedal and he's able to find time on the entry. But in addition to the hairpins, Max knows how to ride the curbs as well, such that he can keep the car's weight and car's platform a lot more stable. Now, the third type of corner is the double apex corner. That's where Max is a machine. You're going to find double apex corners a lot in Suzuka, like turn 1 and turn 2. It's sort of a cross between a decreasing radius and a double apex corner. I'll get onto decreasing radius in just a bit. So you've got double apex corner, turn 1 and 2, Degner 1 and 2, a form of double apex as well. Spoon, a form of double apex as well. Qatar, anytime you see like a square, like turns 4 and 5 in Qatar, there's a double apex, and you've got one in China, and we had one in Malaysia as well. Let me just share screen here and show you what a double apex looks like. This is the spoon curve in Suzuka, and you enter from the top, coming towards the left of screen. And here you touch pretty much where the curb is here. You can see this curb. You touch here, and you see the rubbered in racing line there. That's the second part of the double apex. So the key here, again, is your ability to carry speed on the way in and rotate the car nicely and get on power nicely for a good exit. So it's really like, as it always is, you can only find time in two places, on the way in or on the way out. But generally, if you've got the corner set up nicely on the way in, the rotation will happen by itself on the way out. Once you've set your rotation and your steering wheel, you don't need to do too much. If the double apex is quite symmetrical, you can just afford to wait, maybe add a bit of steering, maybe lift and brake a little bit. You're just fine tuning at this point in the second part of spoon curve. But let me show you guys on the telemetry now. In Qatar turns 4 and 5, the double apex there, where Max was absolutely brutal. All right, hopefully you can see this on the screen in front of you. This is 2024 Qatar. You can see on the track map here, we've got this square shape. That's the double apex, and the racing line is going to be similar to what we saw in the spoon curve in Suzuka. Check this out. Max only just got pole in 2024, 25.20, and George Russell 25.75. So they were super, super, super close, guys. And I've got my little dot here on the chicane. Have a look at this. This is the speed trace. Look at in the middle of the double apex. This is the point in which I said the fine tuning has to be done here. Look at the speed difference that Max is able to carry. So he just gives it a nice early squirt in the middle of the double apex corner. They're both braking at the same point, by the way, but he gives it a good squirt in the middle of this corner, and then spikes the revs, spikes the power, and then rejoins the normal exit. So Max is actually finding time here between the corners in this double apex corner. And like I say to you guys, this is very technical. These are very technical corners, and Max just has that feel for if he can afford to do a push or not. Like I said, in spoon curve, you're only making micro adjustments in the middle, a little bit of brake, a little bit more throttle, open the steering, close the steering, maybe a downshift, maybe an upshift. It's that small time window of opportunity that you have, and Max is absolutely leveraging and taking advantage of that. So if I just draw this white line straight down the middle and show you, it's literally in the middle of that double apex corner where Max has given it a good boot of throttle. You can see conversely, George here in the Aqua, a little bit later to get on throttle, gets on a little bit slower as well, and also lifts off for the second part as well. So there's a confidence piece here because you can see Max lifting for the second right-hander. That's this turn 5 where we see the track dominance in blue. Max is able to just lift a lot later as well and carries that throttle into turn 5. So like I said, there's a big confidence piece there as well, guys, because you've got to be able to trust the car. It's fully loaded, and Max obviously has that confidence in spades. Okay, so the fourth type of corner that we're going to have a look at is S's. Now, these don't pop up that much throughout the calendar. There's only 3 examples that I can think of. Obviously, the Suzuka S's, the famous ones in the first sector. You got the Silverstone ones, the Copse, Maggots, Beckett's, all that section on the run down to Stowe. And then you've got Austin, which has a mega set of S's as well. That's where we're going to have a look at our telemetry from 2024 and show you how devastating Max was in those S's. Check this out. All right, here you can see it on the screen in front of you, 2024 United States Grand Prix. The lap times were very close. It was Lando who got pole 32.3, and Max got second place 32.36. So nothing separating these guys. But have a look at the track dominance. You got the first hairpin, and then you've got bang, the set of S's, and it's all blue. So again, it's another confidence piece, another confidence corner. If I just move my cursor here, you can see the dot moving through that set of S's. That's where we have our telemetry. And look at the speed that Max is able to carry here. I suspect this is just shallower lifts. Oh, have a look at this. Absolutely no lifting. So you see Lando getting out of the throttle in orange and then resuming, getting out again and then resuming, getting out and resuming throttle. So Lando's lifting as these S's get tighter and tighter. Max keeps it pinned and flat all the way through up to this point, and that's absolutely amazing, guys. I've never seen anything like that. And this is the part where Max lifts only for that last right-hander. Keeps it absolutely flat, and that's outrageous, guys. That's just another level of confidence, another level of trust, another level of feel, another level of knowing where the grip is. That's why one of the reasons why he won the championship in 2024, amongst a whole host of reasons. But I was very surprised to see this. Not even a tiny lift or slightly less lift than Lando. Not even flat in the first one, but a lift in the second one. No, this is flat, flat, and flat through the first 3 parts of the S's. And you can see the speed, guys. So that's the sort of confidence and that's the sort of weapon of a driver that Max is that we're dealing with. It's going to be hard to compete with in 2025 if he has a decent car. Now we're going to get on to the next set of corners. We've just done chicanes, hairpins, double apex, and S's. And then we've only got 3 corners left. They're the 3 long corners: decreasing radius, increasing radius, and constant radius. Decreasing radius, you're braking and turning and downshifting all at the same time. So it's pretty tricky when you're turning and braking at the same time. You're not sure if you're going to lock up one of the fronts. You're not sure if you're going to lock up one of the rears. The turning means you've got that lateral coming across the car. And then when you brake, the weight shoots forward. So something's going to happen at one point. Just depends on the grip, just depends on the car balance, just depends on the situation. Let me share screen and have a look at one of these decreasing radius corners. And we got one here in Miami. This one's pretty famous. This is where Leclerc stacked it into the wall. I think it was in 2022, I believe. Leclerc in the wall here. And as you can see, just by the curvature, it gets tighter as you go through. So you might be able to take the first part flat, but there's a point where you're going to have to lift and then brake and then get into this corner and get a nice exit. Let's jump over to the telemetry. I'm going to show you one of these examples in Netherlands where Max was absolutely devastating. Alrighty guys, check this out. 2024 Dutch Grand Prix qualifying, Norris versus Verstappen. Now look, Lando got pole by the best part of 0.4 of a second here. The McLaren was a weapon around this track. But have a look at this in the decreasing radius corner. I think it's turn 9 if I'm not mistaken, but it's coming in here. See where it just flashes blue at the apex? That's where Max is finding a lot of time. And even though the McLaren was a weapon in these long corners in Netherlands and Lando won this race by 20 seconds, Max is still making a difference here in some of the long corners. There's also a long corner constant radius here after where Max is finding time. But for this example, we're going to focus on the decreasing radius. Have a look at the speed on the way in. Max just carrying more speed into the corner. This is like, again, contrary to what you might hear on other channels where Max is an early braker. Have a look at the brake trace here. Lando on the brakes earlier, probably softer, trying to get on throttle earlier. But Max knows that this is it. This is qualifying. He's going to have to go all in here. And look where he brakes a lot later than Lando. He's able to carry that speed in. So how is he able to do this? Well, you might be wondering that. And Max really is able to leverage the principle that when the steering lock is on, you can't brake as hard as what you want. So Max could potentially have a straighter steering on the approach into these decreasing radius corners, allowing him to brake later and harder, downshift more aggressively, and get into these corners a lot quicker. If I just go back and share, Max actually found some time on the way in here, guys. So from 179 to 241, he's found about 400ths of a second across here just on the entry. Again, have a look at the throttle. Max clean driving past Lando's braking point. We've seen this before. And Max actually gets the full throttle first as well on the exit. So Max did a great job in this corner. Why? Because it's one of the 7 technical corners that Max understands and Max can leverage. Now, decreasing radius corners are going to pop up in Bahrain, turn 9 and 10. Miami, like we've seen, Paul Ricard is full of decreasing radius corners. Leclerc had a crash there. I think it was, I'm not going to say 22 again, but I'm not sure. Leclerc had a crash there in one of the decreasing radius corners in Paul Ricard as well. So like I say, guys, these types of corners pop up. And if you understand them well, you can leverage the principle and take advantage, which Max does so well. All right, we're on to our 6th technical corner and our 2nd long corner. This is the long corner of increasing radius. Max is absolutely devastating in these corners. This is the opposite of what we saw before the decreasing radius, where you were braking, turning, downshifting at the same time. Here it's the opposite. You're coming through the same corner shape, but the other way. You've got to get on throttle, turning, upshifting at the same time. And it's really hard when you've got a lot of power, but no downforce, because the cars are like, it's a slow speed corner and downforce is not really active. And you're trying to build that momentum and build that speed and short shift your way. Try to open the steering wheel a little bit, get your foot down a little bit harder. That's the classic problem with the increasing radius corners. Let's jump over to share screen here and I'm going to show you one of them. And this is in Spain. You come in from the top here, from right to left, and then take this corner. And then on the exit, now this is exactly where I'm talking about. This is an increasing radius corner because you got to build the traction from the slow speed, short shift, open the steering. And that's where traction is super important. Spain, a very technical track, by the way. Have a look at this. Increasing radius corner, constant radius corner, chicane to finish the lap in the old Spain as well. So again, you see how these technical corners keep popping up. Max would be a weapon all through these corners, guys. So the increasing radius corner I'm going to take you to with the telemetry is in China. There's one in turn 2, just after the long decreasing radius turn 1. Then you've got the problem with traction out of turn 2. And then you've got another long increasing radius corner before the back straight in China as well. Let's have a look at those 2 examples and see what Max is doing. All right, hopefully you can see that on the screen in front of you. 2024 China, we got Norris in the 34.1 and Max with the 33.6. Max got pole here by 4 or 5 tenths. And this is when the Red Bull was a lot better earlier on in the season. But nevertheless, have a look at these increasing radius corners. This is where it's blue and Max is able to find time on the way out. And again here, this long increasing radius corner to get you onto the back straight. This is where it's blue as well. I'm going to show you what Max is doing here, what technique he's actually leveraging. So let's have a look at the first one. If I click here, I get my little line down and we'll have a look and see what Max is doing. So what Max is doing is there's actually a short squirt here between when you get through turn 1 and when you go to turn 2. And that short little squirt of throttle is what Max is leveraging here. Have a look at this. This is where Lando gets up to 57% throttle. That's his little squirt. But Max's little squirt is 75% between the corners. So you see the speed come up here. Now, why is that important? Well, with that speed advantage comes a little bit of downforce, guys. Like I say, Max is now entering the increasing radius corner with 123 kilometers and Lando is entering the increasing radius corner with 112 kilometers. Now, if all things being equal, the cars were equal, the drivers were equal, conditions were equal, whatever, Max has got the best part of 11 kilometers more worth of downforce. So what does that mean? He can get on throttle a little bit harder as well. And it's Max who's the first one to full throttle here. You see that in blue. And that's exactly what I was talking about, guys. Your ability to get out of these corners is what's going to be the most helpful part. And it all starts with that little short squirt between the corners. Now, not all of the increasing radius corners are going to have this, but Max will find a way to keep the downforce active and keep it alive when he enters this corner so that when he goes for the throttle, he's got the best chance of some sort of traction. Let's have a look at the other example as well. And this is the other one here. Braking into this left-hander, again, there's a short squirt and then you enter the increasing radius corner onto the back straight. Let's have a look at what Max is doing here. Again, guys, I'm just going to zoom in here. You can see that the little squirt is what Max is doing to prepare this corner. The delta jumps in Max's favor from 248 to 332. That's nearly a tenth of a second. all resulting from this little squirt. So let's zoom in on that because that's the detail. That's where Max is finding the best part. So this little throttle squirt here and that speed that Max can carry on the way in, you see he just holds onto the throttle a little bit longer. And as he enters the corner, again, it's 123 versus 115. So who gets to full throttle first? Max gets to 100% full throttle while Lando is still at 90% throttle. That's the difference, guys, in this increasing radius corner, is from that position, Max can then build and apply the traction and short shift and get out of that corner a lot better, starting from that position, going into the corner with a little bit more speed. Whereas if you let the downforce fall out of the car and you start that corner from a low speed, it's much harder to get the power down, the throttle down, to build the downforce and short shift. It's going to take you longer to get out of that corner. So that's another principle that Max is leveraging in these increasing radius corners, guys. Keep an eye out for them in Spain, and there's a few here in China as well. Alrighty, the last example is the constant radius long corner. Pretty popular corner. You'll see 4 or 5 of them in Hungary. You'll see one of them in Qatar. You'll see a few of them in Netherlands as well. Like we said before, they're not quite the hairpin. The hairpin comes to a point, whereas the long corner of constant radius kind of drags around for quite a while. And it's the opportunity for you to pick and choose your rotation point. You can dive in early like Lewis Hamilton does, work everything out in the mid corner and just hope you're going to get a good exit. Or you can do the Max Verstappen approach, which is just to brake and see what happens. And if I need to add a bit of steering, I'll add a bit of steering. Or if I just come out of the brakes, or if there's more grip than what I expect or less than what I expect, I can make adjustments in the middle of this corner and always look for consistency. And that's what Max does really well in these types of corners. Let's jump over. I'll show you what they look like. So these are the last 2 corners in Hungary. You enter from where this little white box is on the right, come straight ahead. And this is the first long corner of constant radius. And then this is the second long corner of constant radius that takes you onto the pit straight. So like I say, they're really important corners, guys. And I'm going to show you now in the telemetry in Netherlands what Max Verstappen is doing so well here. All right, so check this out. This is Netherlands. This is the exact same lap that we compared Max's entry into the decreasing radius corner, and straight followed after that is the constant radius long corner. Have a look at the speed trace between Max and Lando. Remember, Lando got pole here by 4/10. The McLaren was a much better car, but Max is able to carry more speed on the way in for not as much loss on the exit. Check this out. So they enter the corner 198. They finish the corner 9.2. So Max has found nearly 1/10 of a second on the entry. Have a look at the throttle. The same sort of thing as the corner before. Max is going straight past Lando's braking point here and turning in, carrying a lot more speed into the corner. Now that's where Max is finding the lap time, guys. It's all on the entry where the speed comes in, the delta goes there, and there's more full throttle. But like we saw in the race, that's going to put a lot of energy through the front tires as well. And eventually the Lando can consistently do this line and this approach where Max is eventually going to run out of front tires. So that's why I'm saying, guys, I'm not sure how this is going to work in 2025 if he's following another car. Yes, Max is super quick, but I'll be curious to see if in long corners of constant radius, Max still struggles with these front tire issues. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope it helped you, and I hope I highlighted a few of Max's strengths to you. If you had any thoughts or questions, drop me a comment in the comment section below and subscribe to this channel moving forward, where I'm going to be doing previews and post-practice quali and race analysis in 2025 as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.